Shocking, Blood Moon 2025 will forever change everything in just 72 hours, don't miss this. A shadow crept over the world, a crimson omen that hung in the sky like a warning bell. People whispered. Eyes turned toward the heavens, where the blood moon unveiled itself, a devouring circle glimmering with ancient secrets and foreboding. The air felt different, charged like electricity on a stormy night. Some called it a celestial celebration, others labeled it a curse. What did the universe have in store? Would it bring doom or deliverance? It was impossible to know, but as the moon's light bathed the earth in a bloody hue, countless hearts raced with both dread and anticipation. In a small town near the mountains, the atmosphere thickened with mystery. Streets were quiet, muffled murmurs rising and falling like waves on a restless shore. A local girl, Maria, found a peculiar book at the dusty old library, a manuscript depicting visions of extraordinary events tied to lunar phases. The pages crinkled with age, revealing sketches of terrifying beasts and celestial alignments. Each illustration was more bizarre than the last, and ribbons of fear intertwined with her curiosity. Why was this hidden? What truths lay between the pages? She could hardly breathe as she traced the bold ink with trembling fingers. As rumors spread like wildfire, so did an unshakable sense of urgency. Folks locked their doors and huddled together, eyes glancing nervously at the sky. It's just a moon, people. It's all in our heads, shouted Mr. Jenkins, but his voice faltered in the unease that gripped the crowd. The blood-colored glow outside hinted at the unknown, whispers of powers unbound. A sudden gust of wind howled, echoing the town's collective apprehension. In that moment, a blaring horn shattered the silence, turning heads toward the main street. A black van, marked by cryptic symbols, had come to a stop. Who were they? What message did they bear? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The van's door swung open, and out stepped a figure cloaked in shadow. A gasp traveled through the viewers as they inched closer to get a better look. The moon cast a haunting light on this enigmatic being, revealing a gaunt face and piercing eyes that seemed to see right through to the souls of the watchers. Maria felt her heart thump loudly in her chest. Who were they? Rumor had it that the blood moon held more power than anyone realized, and the arrival of this stranger was only the beginning. With a flick of their wrist, the figure produced a small, luminous orb that pulsed as if alive, illuminating the faces around in shock. This orb seemed important, its glow hypnotic, and together with the moon's dark promise, it sent waves of goosebumps racing across skin. What did this mean for the town? The world? And with only 72 hours until the moon reached its peak, shadows lengthened around them, and fate hung in the balance. Would every life be changed forever, or was there still a chance to turn back? A murmur of disbelief unsettled the crowd, as the figure whispered, "You're all part of this now." The figure stepped closer, their presence radiating an unsettling energy that sent a shiver down Maria's spine. Everyone held their breath, eyes wide with a mix of fear and curiosity. The orb pulsed rhythmically in the stranger's hand, casting strange shadows of red and black that danced across the asphalt. "Listen closely," the figure said, voice low and gravelly. "You've all felt it. The change. The whispers of the night. The blood moon isn't just a sight to behold, it's a gateway, a signal that the old world is crumbling. You stand on the threshold of something monumental." Maria's heart raced as her mind screamed to understand. What did this mean? A gateway? She felt the crowd around her pulse with anxiety, each person grappling with their own interpretations and fears. Murmurs of "what is it? And why us?" rippled through the crowd like a wave. The figure lifted the orb higher, and it radiated a blinding light, momentarily obscuring the moon's crimson hue. In that blinding flash, Maria glimpsed silhouettes swirling within the orb, figures wreathed in shadows, their faces contorted in fear or fury. Just as quickly, the light returned to its dim glow, and the onlookers gasped collectively, confusion shimmering in their eyes. "Beware," the figure continued, intensity sharpening their words. "Not all will survive the transformation that comes with the climax of the blood moon. Darkness will rise. But so will hope if you choose to seize it." Maria's mind raced. This was more than a story from the manuscript. This was real. Panic surged through the town like wildfire now. The unthinkable possibilities loomed on the horizon, shadows unfurling where none had been before. People began to move, some hurrying to their cars and others retreating to their homes, seeking safety. Mr. Jenkins yelled again, "Don't listen. It's just a trick." But his voice was swallowed up by a swell of terror. "Stay!" Maria shouted, desperation in her voice. "We need to know more. If there's a chance to prepare, we can't just run away." Her words were brave, but inside, apprehension clawed at her. What was happening? She needed answers. As if sensing her thoughts, the figure locked their gaze on her. Maria felt a strange pull, as if the orb recognized her curiosity. "You seek the truth, don't you?" they asked, stepping forward. "Then come. Only the fearless can uncover what lays beneath the shadows of this night." The crowd shrank back, uncertainty rippling through them. Maria's heart hammered, torn between a primal instinct to flee and an indomitable urge to find clarity. Without thinking, she stepped toward the figure. "I'll go with you." The figure nodded, a hint of an approving smile creeping onto their lips. "You've chosen wisely. But know this: the path will be perilous. Trust will be tested. Not all who start the journey will finish." The world around her seemed to dissolve as Maria took a deep breath, the air thick and electric. Ahead lay questions they didn't yet know how to ask. Fear wrapped around her heart, but so did excitement. Perhaps this was her moment to carve out a piece of destiny. "What about us?" a voice called out from the crowd. "Are we just supposed to wait and see?" The figure turned, casting their sharp gaze across the onlookers. "You will face your own trials. The choice lies within you. Those who wish to remain in ignorance may do so, but remember, of the remaining time, each tick of the clock brings you closer to change." A disquieting hush swept over the crowd as the figure gestured to the van. The air crackled, and the orb in their hand shimmered, projecting images of a world divided, some thriving, while others succumbed to shadows. Everything was about to shift. Maria, though terrified, felt something fierce stir within her. Would she be the one to uncover deeper truths, or were they standing on the brink of complete chaos? "Let us go," she whispered to herself, stepping bravely toward the gate of the unknown. As she entered the van, the last eyes of the crowd lingered on the shadowy figure, doubts etched onto their faces. And with every passing moment, the blood moon loomed larger, a silent promise of the reckoning to come. Who would emerge unscathed when it reached its peak? And for Maria, what revelations awaited her in the mysteries shrouded by that haunting red glow? Inside the van, the smell of damp wood and mysterious incense filled the air. The walls closed in around Maria, almost suffocating her with every puff of the thick, pungent aroma. Two cracked chairs faced the shadowy figure as they settled into the driver's seat. Dark fabric billowed, draping over the contours of their body, obscuring any revealing features. Maria could feel her heart racing even faster now. "What happens next?" she asked, a tremor in her voice. The figure smirked in the rearview mirror. "The journey begins with a choice. Every shadow holds a potential. Some paths lead to salvation, others, demise." The van jolted forward, tires crunching gravel underfoot. The road was bumpy, leading them away from familiar streets and into an uncertain darkness. Maria's mind spun, clinging to kinetic energy and fear coursing through her veins. Every bump felt like a warning, but a part of her craved this thrill, a craving for the truth that had eluded her for so long. "Where are we going?" she pressed, her voice steadier now, like a boat finding its balance at sea. "The heart of the blood moon's power," the figure replied, gripping the steering wheel tighter. "To understand the force at play, one must confront the source of the shadows. Only then will you see the truth." Her stomach twisted into knots, a mixture of anticipation and dread. She considered the townsfolk left behind, still frozen in fear. Would they be safe? Did they even understand what they were facing? Her thoughts darted back and forth like sparks in the air. The van turned sharply, the sounds of the night outside fading, replaced by a profound silence. The world felt suspended, like they were leaving time itself behind. As they drifted deeper into the unknown, the figure spoke again, their voice low and melodic, almost entrancing. "Do not doubt your choice, Maria. Many will not understand the path you are taking. Those who follow will come to realize that the flames of change burn brightly against the shadows." "What do you mean?" she asked, trying to absorb the weight of their words. "Hope does not come without sacrifice. You must be prepared to lose everything: old beliefs, safety, even trust. But through the ashes, a new world may arise." As the van accelerated, Maria caught glimpses of flickering lights in the distance, shadows moving in the darkness. What were they? Were they people? Monsters? Her breath hitched, and a shiver crawled up her spine. "Fear not. Explore what lies within," the figure encouraged, glancing at her through the mirror again. "This night will reveal your true self." She swallowed hard, resisting the urge to turn back. Was she really prepared to do this? What kind of fate awaited her? The orb suddenly pulsed from the shadowy depths of her mind, images flashing in her thoughts, faces she didn't recognize, code that felt familiar yet haunting. There was urgency in those flashes, voices crying for help, begging to be remembered. "Trust yourself," the figure spoke, almost as if reading her thoughts. "The moon allows only those who dare to witness what the darkness hides." Tension hung thick in the air. Her heart beat in rhythm with the pulsing orb as the reality of her choice began to settle. This wasn't just a journey, it was a reckoning. What kind of transformation awaited in the heart of this night? And as they approached the looming shadow ahead, the chill of impending revelation thickened the air. Maria gripped the seat. Would she break? Or would she piece together the truth lurking just out of reach, hidden behind the haunting glow of the blood moon? And then, in a voice that shook the very limits of her soul, the figure whispered ominously, "Look closely. For when the blood moon rises, all masks shall fall. Are you ready to see the world without them?" The van creaked as it rumbled into an eerie open space, the flickering lights turning into dim neon glows, casting sinister shadows against jagged rocks and dilapidated structures. Maria squinted into the darkness. They had arrived at a place that looked like a forgotten town, half-eaten by the night. "What is this place?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. The figure in the driver's seat turned slightly, just enough for Maria to catch the glint of their eyes in the low light. "The Rusted Grove. A haven for those who seek refuge from the grip of untruths. And a battleground where secrets are laid bare." Maria felt a chill run down her spine. This wasn't a home, it was a haunting relic. They stepped out of the van, the gravel crunching beneath her shoes, echoing into the void. The air was thick with an electric tension, her senses heightened as shadows danced around her, hinting at hidden dangers. "Stay close," the figure commanded, walking toward a flickering sign overhead. It read Blood Moon Sanctuary, the letters peeling and dim, almost as tired as the town itself. Maria followed, heart racing like a drum, awareness prickling her skin. What were they walking into? As they entered the sanctuary, the heavy wooden door creaked open, unleashing a rush of stale air mixed with something sweet and feral. Inside, a group of figures huddled in a circle, murky silhouettes drawn together like moths around a flame. They paused as she stepped over the threshold, a collective gaze pinning her in place. Fear clawed at her chest, but the urge to uncover the truth propelled her forward. What do you want from me? Her voice rang out, unsteady but defiant. The figure she had followed moved to the center, gesturing for her to join. You are the key tonight, Maria. The one who must unearth what has been buried. What's buried? What do you mean? The question escaped her like a terrified gasp. The leader of the group, a tall woman draped in heavy fabrics, spoke. Her voice was gravelly but laced with an urgency that made the hairs on Maria's neck stand. The blood moon grants power, but at a cost. Tonight, we reveal the hidden horrors that have bound us in darkness. You hold the orb, the potential for both salvation and ruin. Maria clenched her fists, guilt gnawing at her. She didn't ask for any of this. I don't see how I'm part of this. The woman stepped closer, green eyes burning with fierce intensity. You are connected, whether you realize it or not. Your fears, your dreams, they resonate with the shadows. You are not the first, but perhaps you can be the last. A chill swept through the sanctuary. Seems like the shadows around them grew restless, whispering as if they were garnering secrets meant for ears that could handle the weight. Maria's pulse quickened. What do I need to do? Look into the darkness, confront it, the woman warned, her voice low. The consequences will follow. Remember, the truth often wears a mask, too. Are you ready? Maria took a deep breath, the weight of this moment pressing down with unbearable force. Her heart raced, thoughts tangled. She could flee, escape this grim twist of fate, but would she ever truly feel free? As she contemplated her choice, silence swallowed the sanctum, the stillness clinging thick. Above them, the blood moon glowed, illuminating the entire sanctuary, shadows recoiling as light spread. Suddenly, a howl echoed from outside, a piercing sound that sent ice spiraling through her veins. Maria's breath hitched. What was that? The woman's expression tightened, resolve unmistakable. An omen. Change is here, and not everyone will emerge unscathed. Are you ready to face what comes? At that moment, Maria felt a familiar sense of urgency pulse within her, and the orb within her seemed to respond, vibrating against her chest. She was standing at the precipice, and everything would shift in the heartbeat of a moment, but the question remained: how far would she go to expose the truth? As her decision loomed, her heart thundered against her ribs. Would she become the savior, or would she unleash something far darker? The circle shifted, the figures surrounding her watching with anticipation. Tonight, Maria would either find the light or plunge deeper into the shadows. What awaited her beyond that door? Would she unlock the secrets that could either save or doom them all? Maria's heart raced, thumping like a drum against her ribs. Shadows coiled around her, waiting, holding their breath. I'm ready, she said, her voice steady despite the tremors inside. A twinge of defiance sparked within her. She wouldn't let fear rule her. The tall woman nodded slowly, her intense gaze never wavering. Then let the unveiling commence. With a flick of her wrist, the air shifted, filling with an energy slithering through the room like a serpent. The circle tightened, closing in on her. Maria sensed that the very fabric of the sanctuary was alive, vibrating with history, with pain, and potentially, with truth. Focus on the orb, Maria, the woman instructed, pointing toward a twilight glow shimmering at her chest. Let it guide you. What will you discover within? Maria bit down on her lip, letting her instinct take over. She closed her eyes and took a deep breath, willing herself to believe in the warmth of the orb, a soft reminder of hope in the dark. The voices of the figures receded into a whisper, melding with the pounding of her heart. A whirlpool of images rushed forward, chaotic and overwhelming. Sights and sounds flooded her mind. She saw flickering lights in a labyrinth of alleyways, shadows creeping through narrow streets. A child's laugh, bitter and haunting, echoed in her ears, tearing at something deep within. The laughter morphed into the sharp cry of anguish, unending screams ricocheting in the silence that followed. No, she gasped as tears pricked her eyes. What is this? Your past, your connection. The woman urged. Embrace it. Only then can you break the chains that bind you. She pressed her palms against the orb. A shudder rippled through her, and she felt the walls closing in. The energy from the orb became a blazing light, pushing back against the shadows, casting them aside. A figure emerged through the haze, not just any figure, but her younger self, stumbling through a storm of dark emotions. "Why are you here?" Maria shouted, her voice notably raw. The image of her younger self paused, locking eyes with her. "What do you want?" "Help me!" The child cried, a pleading innocence buried beneath layers of hurt. "I don't want to be afraid anymore." The room began to tilt, and Maria felt a rift form between reality and memory. The shadows inhaled sharply, twisting and curling around her, feeding from her unease. With her heart pounding, desperation shot through her veins. This wasn't just a memory, it was a reckoning. "Stop!" Maria finally screamed, forcing herself to stand tall against the encroaching shadows. "No more." The orb flared bright once again, its light encasing both of them like a cocoon. In this moment of clarity, the circle behind her began to chant, voices harmonizing, rising with intensity. The edges of her past faded as she opened her eyes, returning to the sanctuary, breathless. "I see it now, the fear, it was always mine to own. I can't let this consume us." The tall woman stepped back, eyes wide with astonishment. "You've faced the truth. But know this, the darkness will not relent. It will come for you now." With the intensity of her revelation still coursing through her, Maria's mind reeled. "But how? How do we fight it?" "The answer lies under the blood moon," was the cryptic response, and suddenly a tremor shook the ground beneath them. Outside, the howl rose again, louder and more guttural, echoing through the sanctuary like a war cry. Windows rattled, dust fell from the ceiling. Chaos erupted within the circle as the figures exchanged fearful glances, their eyes reflecting the dread of the impending storm. A cold breeze swept through, sweeping off the tension, igniting Maria's fighting spirit. "We can't just wait. We need to act." "Then act." The woman shouted back, urgency etched on her face. "But prepare yourself. This battle will test your very soul." With those words, uncertainty flooded back. Maria could feel an oppressive weight tightening around her throat, weighing heavily on her. She was torn between the pulsating truth inside, glaring at her, and the unsettling scream of darkness. Curling beneath the surface. As the howl intensified outside, Maria took a step forward, resolute. The moment had come. But what awaited her was still shrouded in a fog, a confrontation with the unknown that could either shatter or empower her. What was lurking beyond that door? Would she hold the strength to confront the darkness, or would it devour her before she had a chance to fight back? Maria inhaled sharply, the howl from outside cutting through her like a knife. It echoed in her ears, and every instinct within her screamed that she needed to act. The walls of the sanctuary felt alive with tension, the shadows writhing impatiently, as if they sensed her hesitation. "Maria!" The tall woman, her voice laced with urgency, grasped Maria's shoulders. "Trust your instinct. The blood moon is rising. It holds the power you need." She could feel the orb at her chest pulsing, resonating with the energy between them. It was a reminder, a beacon illuminating the path ahead even as darkness threatened to engulf it. "What do we do?" Maria asked, swallowing hard as the ground beneath her trembled again. "Gather the others. We need to perform the ritual of resilience. It's our only chance to channel the energy of the moon before the shadows arrive," the woman instructed, releasing her grip and stepping back. The figures in the circle lurked like phantoms, their features drawn tight with fear and anticipation. Maria could taste the fear on the air, bitter and cloying. "But how do we do that? I've never led anything before." "You don't have to lead. You just have to be present. The orb chose you, Maria. You have the strength. Now gather them." Trembling but resolute, she turned towards the figures. "Listen to me." Maria's voice cut through the murmuring uncertainty. The shadows are coming, and we can't be afraid any longer. We must unite, draw strength from each other. Hands shifted, some grasping at anxiety, others shaking off doubt. Slowly, they began to form a ring around her despite their fear. She could see the flicker of hope in their eyes, pushing against the tide of despair. Then, outside, the howl rose again, a spine-chilling sound, growing louder as if it were beckoning the shadows forward. It sent shivers down her spine. "We need to begin now," Maria shouted, feeling a surge of determination. With her eyes glued to the flickering glow of the orb, she reached out to the nearest figure, pulling them into the embrace of her focus. "Hold on to your memories, your pains, and the love that binds us. Let the blood moon's light guide us." As hands connected, the energy shifted, the circle pulsating with a warmth that spread through her. It was comforting, wrapping around her like a protective shield. Each heartbeat synchronized with the rhythm of the chanting that began to rise from the group. "Strength, resilience, unity," the chant echoed, wrapping around them like a cocoon, pushing back against the shadows creeping at the edges. Mystic energy swirled, lifting the air, creating a barrier against despair, but still, the howl outside deepened, now scraping against the sanctuary's walls like nails on a chalkboard. Thunder rolled in, rattling the foundation, teasing them with the unknown. Would their combined energy be enough? Just then, the tall woman's voice broke through the rising storm. "The shadows are merging, they sense our strength. Focus, Maria. You must be the anchor." That weight returned to Maria's throat, panic clawing at her. "What if I fail?" "Then we all fail." "But you won T." The certainty in the woman's voice turned, shifting the pregnancy of despair into a fighting spirit. Maria concentrated, pushing doubt aside. The orb surged brightly, illuminating the center of the circle, casting brilliant light over the darkened figures. Suddenly, a figure materialized in the shadow. It was awful and grotesque, eyes glimmering with malice. The darkness had come for her. Maria's heart raced, each beat echoing like a drum as it advanced, oozing malevolence. Gripping the orb tighter, she felt the warmth intensify. "Stand strong," she shouted, forcing her fear to merge with courage. Could she genuinely anchor them against this force of darkness? Could they hold together, pushing back against impending despair? As the shadows pressed closer, Maria felt the images of her past flicker, memories intermingling with the chant. But there was one image that stood out: her younger self, fragile and scared, whispering for help. "Here I am." Maria's voice rang through the chaos. "I will not let you go." But just as the shadows threatened to engulf them, the ground surged dramatically, sending shockwaves through the circle. Screams erupted, and the chanting faltered. What would become of them now? Were they prepared for this overwhelming darkness, or were the shadows about to shatter their unity, leaving them alone in the cold despair of the unknown? The moment hung in the air, thick with tension. As the encroaching figure drew closer, Maria had to decide: would she confront this darkness head-on, or allow fear to carry her away? The blood moon was rising, and so was her resolve. The ground shook violently, as if a beast lurked beneath the surface, ready to burst forth and swallow them whole. Maria stumbled but steadied herself, her eyes locked onto the grotesque figure emerging from the shadows. Its features were sharpened and warped, like a nightmare come to life, its malevolent eyes fixed on her like a predatory hawk. "Don't break the circle." The tall woman's voice cut through the chaos, a commanding presence amidst the rising panic. "Focus, everyone, focus on Maria." Maria could feel her heart racing, each thud resonating in her ears, drowning out the howls that continued to batter the sanctuary walls. She inhaled deep, pulling strength from the orb. It pulsed against her chest, a lifeline tethered to her reality, and with it came a surge of clarity. "Strength, resilience, unity," she chanted, trying to merge her voice with the others to drown out the creeping malevolence. The chanting swelled, filling the hollow space of the sanctuary, even as her own voice threatened to slip into fear. The figure advanced, its form flickering in and out of focus like a television on the brink of catastrophe. Maria could see its jagged teeth glinting in the orb's light, each pointed edge promising ruin. But she wouldn't yield. Not this time. Hold on. Maria shouted, her voice echoing with urgent intensity. Don't let fear take you. Remember your strengths, your bonds. As she spoke, she could sense the energy of the group. Desperate hands squeezed tighter, the warmth of human connection pushing back against the frigid claws of darkness. The shadows hesitated, drawn in by the glow of the orb, their own chaos contesting with the softness of unity. Behind her, she heard a gasp. The tall woman fell to her knees, face drawn with an expression Maria had never seen before. No, not now. She shouted, curling her fingers into fists. What is happening? Someone cried out, their voice trembling with anxiety. The chanting faltered, fear seeping through the cracks like mist rising from a grave. But Maria pressed on, her eyes flicking to the grotesque shape poised at the edge of the light. We can't give in. We are stronger together than we are apart. The momentum shifted as people drew strength from her resolve. A wave of energy surged back through the circle, and she could feel the orb's warmth intensifying, threatening to consume her. A beam of light split the air, shining straight at the monstrous figure. With one final chant, they declared, light, hope, resilience. The figure screeched, a sound that pierced through the very fabric of reality. Maria clenched her fist around the orb, willing it to work to forge a barrier strong enough to repel the darkness. The shadows recoiled, twisting like smoke pulled from a flame. But the storm wasn't finished. With a final, earth-shattering roar, the ground cracked open below, splintering wide, casting darkness through every crack and crevice. The sanctuary trembled, and the flesh of the world seemed to writhe as though alive. Maria's heart leapt into her throat. We must finish this. She screamed. Don't let the shadows take us. But as the illumination brightened, and the shadows faded, a chilling whisper snaked through the air. You'll never escape your past. A shadowy silhouette darted through the fading light, slipping past the edges of their circle. Maria's breath caught. What if darkness had found a way in? Suddenly, an electric surge shot through her veins, the orb erupting with blinding light. She squeezed her eyes shut, body tensing against the fiery brightness. What was happening? Would they be washed away in the blinding glow, or would the past reach out and claw them back into the abyss of despair? As the shadows fought against the light, Maria faced the ultimate test of her strength and belief. Could they outlast the darkness now unleashed upon them? The echoes of a haunting laughter emerged from the growing void, sending chills racing up her spine. A battle of light and dark loomed ahead, and Maria knew this was only the beginning. The air around them thickened with tension, pumping like a heartbeat ready to burst. Maria squeezed her eyes shut, the fiery light surrounding her blind but protective. All around, she felt the presence of the others, their breath mingling with her own, their fear palpable. The whispers in the dark had turned to screams, and she could almost taste the urgency. Breathe! Maria shouted, fighting against the chaos. We can't let it win. But doubt surged through her, as inky tendrils wrapped tighter around the sanctuary. The grotesque figure grinned, a nightmare incarnate, breathing in the fear that dripped from each trembling voice. Maria fought against the urge to bolt. The shadows were thick, swirling like fog, trying to disorient them. Suddenly, a violent jolt resonated beneath her feet, sending tremors through the foundation of their refuge. The ground itself twisted, trying to swallow them down, trying to rip them apart. Hold the light! Someone yelled, panic seeping through like a wound. The orb flickered above her, a beacon of hope against the rising tide of despair. With every heartbeat, the light pulsed brighter, urging Maria forward. They needed to escape this spiral of fear, but where could they go? Don't fail me now, she whispered to the orb, memory flickering through her mind, faces of loved ones, voices of support. It felt like ages ago, before this nightmare began. As if sensing her determination, the orb ignited with an explosion of colors, spiraling outward in a wave of energy. Focus. Maria urged again. They stood at the precipice of oblivion, the darkness clawing at their minds, begging them to remember every regret, every failure. How could they push back? The tall woman, still kneeling, her face a mask of dread, suddenly sprang up. Her eyes burned with a fierce fire. We can't just fight it. We must own it. Every piece of our past, every wound integrated into the light. Maria blinked, mind racing. Integrate? How could they accept the dark? But then she understood. They had spent so long trying to run from their fears. Feel it, don't fight it. She shouted. It's part of who we are. Nods of recognition rippled through the circle. One by one, as faces turned towards the swirling darkness, they drew in shaky breaths, recalling their pasts, the losses, the traumas. Together, they shared whispered confessions in the light, each story contributing to their combined strength. Shadows around them flickered, thrown off balance. A ghastly screech erupted from the being as the light turned the oppressive energy of fear into a starburst of resilience. The orb now seemed like a sun, even as the dark lashed out in retaliation, furious at their newfound acceptance. More. Give it everything. Yelled an older man, his eyes alive with desperation. Together, they poured their raw, collective memories into the orb's glow. Tears streamed down faces, the sound of agony transitioning to that of catharsis. The cacophony of emotions spiraled together, joy, pain, hope, creating a fiery shield against the shadows' devouring rage. A deafening roar shook the air, and the grotesque figure writhed, its form flickering with a blend of fury and desperation. I can't hold it much longer. Maria gasped through gritted teeth. It felt like the weight of the world pressed down on her shoulders, and then, in the thick of the battle, a shadow coiled at her feet erupted. It surged towards her, and in its deep void, she felt something familiar. Something unmistakable. Her past, her mistakes, her own darkness. No. She yelled, stepping forward. You will not consume me again. With a roar of defiance, her rage exploded outward. She summoned the orb's energy into her fear, her failure the very essence of her darkness. The moment held still, and all colors brightened. Embrace it. She cried, as a shockwave blasted from her, consuming the shadows around them, but amidst the brilliance, the laughter returned, rippling through the night. You won't escape, this is just the beginning. Just as the light began to break apart the darkness, the air shifted. Shadows coalesced into a single entity lurking at the edge of the sanctuary, watching, waiting. What awaited them next? The battle was only escalating. Would the looming figure from their past claim the victory meant for them? The air vibrated, thick with anticipation, as the grotesque figure loomed closer. Its shadow stretched, devouring the light, eager to snuff out their hard-won strength. Maria's heart thundered in her chest, each pulse a reminder that this was not just her fight, this was every person's battle, a collective stand against the darkness. Stay together. She called out, searching the eyes of her companions, seeking strength. But here, in the eye of the storm, uncertainty lingered. The grip of the shadows tentatively tightened, weaving through their bond, gnawing at the edges of their resolve. An inscrutable force pressed in, as if the very sanctuary had aligned against them. They had dared to confront the darkness, and now it surged back with a vengeance. A heavy silence fell over the group, a calm before the storm that carried a hint of despair. The tall woman who had rallied their spirits earlier moved closer to Maria. What do we do now? It's watching us, her voice trembled, raw with fear. Maria gritted her teeth, fighting against the rising tide of hopelessness. We hold all of it. Our light, our darkness. The only way to beat this is to show it who we really are. But self-doubt slithered through every fiber of Maria's being. Could they truly face their deepest fears with open hearts? She stole a glance at the monstrous figure. Its grin had widened, absorbing their hesitation like a feast, ready to deliver the final blow. Remember why we're here. Who we are. The words escaped her lips like a lifeline thrown into deep waters. Together, we can shift this. A spark ignited in her chest, and she raised her hands, almost trembling. Channel your pain, your joy. We need to merge our pasts, not just with each other but with the power of this moment. Hands began to reach outward. Fingers intertwined, they formed a chain, an unbroken link against the chaos. The orb pulsated above, a furious beacon igniting with fierce energy as memories intertwined in the air like ribbons. The shadows pulled tighter as Maria felt the weight of their history blend into the light, swirling chaos catalyzed by whispered stories of hope, betrayal, love, and loss. Behind her closed eyes, visions leapt to the surface, loved ones, cherished moments, nightmares they fought to forget. They poured into the orb, mixing together, creating a swirling vortex of shared experiences, but the figure laughed, a chilling sound that echoed through the air, mocking their attempts. You think a few memories can save you? You are nothing but shadows of your past. With each word, the figure advanced. Maria's heart pounded as the ground shook beneath them. No. We are more than our pasts. She shouted, summoning every ounce of power from the others. Each voice joined in, rising in volume, creating a harmony that drowned out the malevolent laughter. The orb surged, flickering in shades of gold and crimson, merging memories until the very air crackled with possibility. And just when it seemed they'd reached a breaking point, a brilliant flash of light exploded, forcing the shadows to recoalesce, shrieking as they shrunk back, threatened by the power of acceptance. Maria's breath came in sharp gasps. This is just a diversion. It's not done with us yet. The grotesque figure flickered, and then, without warning, it disintegrated into 1,000 small grains of darkness, swirling wildly around them. The laughter morphed into whispers that crawled beneath their skin, filling their minds with doubts and insecurities. What are we now? The older man muttered, desperation creeping into his tone. Is this what victory looks like? She felt the shadows press in like an iron vice, but she refused to buckle. No. This isn't over. We've merely transformed the battlefield. They had acknowledged their pasts, and now they needed to face whatever came next together, but the swirling darkness had not disappeared entirely. It surged again, reforming into something monstrous. Maria's stomach dropped as she realized with horror that they had underestimated its resilience. We need to move. Now. As they turned to escape, a chilling figure emerged from the remnants of the shadows, one that sent icy fingers of dread spiraling down her spine. An all-too-familiar face stared back at them, bearing a smirk that twisted her gut, radiating malice. Did you think you could escape me that easily? It hissed, the voice familiar, yet twisted. Maria's breath caught. Why would her greatest fear now take such a tangible form? Be prepared, it taunted, your true battle is about to begin. What lay ahead? Would they find the strength to confront the very essence of their fears? Darkness fell heavy in the rusted grove as the figure before them loomed, an embodiment of Maria's deepest terrors, echoing the fears she thought she'd conquered. You don't belong here. The words fled Maria's lips, the fire igniting within her, pushing back against despair. This wasn't just a fight for her, it was a fight for everyone encircled in the flickering light, holding on to hope. I am you. The figure sneered, its voice a twisted reflection of everything she had ever feared to face. You can't escape your past, your failures. I am the whisper of doubt that lingers when night falls. The shadows whipped around them, restless, hungry. Maria felt her hands tremble for the first time, but the light of the orb pulsed fiercely against her chest, a beacon of resilience. No. She screamed, you don't define me. We are more than our pasts. The group behind her began to chant, thoughts meshing, filling the air as they focused on the orb's luminescence. The likes of their feeling intertwined with strength and vulnerability. Memories poured from their hearts into the chanting, the losses, the victories, the love. Maria could sense the light growing with every push of energy. The grotesque figure recoiled, its shape wavering as if the memories could unravel its very essence. You think you can change me? I am what you fear, I dwell within. A blast of shadow lunged toward them, a swirl of darkness threatening to engulf their unity. Focus! Maria shouted fiercely, urgency gripping her. We are not alone. We can face the darkness together. As the chanting intensified, the orb began to grow bright, bathing the sanctuary in golden light, each pulse marking their defiance against the shadows. Then show me. Show me your fears. The figure shrieked, twisting into grotesque shapes, morphing into visions of broken dreams, failures, moments of regret. Each transformation tore at Maria's heart, sharp like a dagger. Even the others faltered, uncertainty dancing across their faces. Remember who you are. Maria pressed, locking eyes with the tall woman who had guided her. Remember what binds us. She reached out, pulling the woman closer, channeling shared bravery. The circle clustered tighter, hands grasping hands, hearts beating in synchrony. They closed their eyes, summoning the courage locked inside. The warmth radiated, igniting the orb into a blinding flare. Together, they harnessed their fears through the cracks, the shadows quaking against their resolve. Courage! Maria screamed, the echo through the sanctuary like thunder, rising to the challenge. Join with us. They poured their collective pain, individuality folding seamlessly into shared strength. The shadowy figure hissed, a desperate scream tearing from its core as the orb erupted into an explosion of colors. They flooded the sanctuary with light, the darkness bending, buckling under equal parts fear and acceptance. The shadows twisted and writhed, the whispers morphing into desperate screams as the boundaries blurred. Still, the figure pushed, fighting against the rising glow, yet the light pushed back harder. It began to disintegrate, fragments dissolving into the air like ash. This can't be. You'll never be free. It shrieked, its voice a shadow of a memory that echoed within. But we are free. Maria cried, stepping forward, her heart beating fiercely against the pulse of the orb. They faced the past that had long haunted them, grounding the energy of both light and dark. A tremor rocked the sanctuary, the walls quaking as the figure chipped away into darkness, shimmering particles falling to the ground like rain. We are stronger together. Maria shouted, the ember of hope rising. This is our world, our moment. With one final scream, the figure erupted, the shadows condensing in a blinding flash. The orb expanded, absorbing everything: the laughter, the screams, the failures. It consumed and transformed. When the light dimmed, the shadows had vanished, leaving only the warmth and brightness of hope enveloping them. The sanctuary felt alive, tinted with energy and promise, layers of fear shed. Renewed, Maria opened her eyes, taking a deep, shuddering breath. The air felt lighter now, a veil lifted. They were still standing, still together. What just happened? The tall woman whispered, swept up in disbelief. It was always within us, Maria replied, a smile breaking through. We faced the darkness because we dared to confront ourselves. We chose to shine. Her heart is filled with pride, looking at the faces that had been transformed. From this moment onward, we carry our truths not just behind closed doors, but into the light. We are changed, and we must guide others. A wave of compassion swelled through the group, hands tightening around each other, shadows lifted, hope ignited. The blood moon still hung in the sky, pulsing, yet it no longer felt like a threat. It now illuminated their path, urging them onward. Let us go reclaim our town, Maria said, confidence coursing through her veins. Together, they formed a united front, stepping into the radiant light, ready to embrace the world that awaited them not just in the face of darkness, but as a collective spirit, unyielding. And in that moment, they learned that the shadows may lurk, but light emerges as long as they choose to carry it together. Now's your moment. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm. It's time to flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this amazing conclusion. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who absolutely need to see this conclusion. Your support means everything.